What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Manny here. Welcome back to another episode. It's a cloudy, dark, a little bit of a cozy rest day here in Vienna. I'm already regenerating like crazy. Hopefully, got some good food in and some good training the days before. So let's see what we're gonna be able to do tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. But anyway, I wanted to use this little opportunity to make a kind of unusual episode, I would say, for the channel. And that is the one that I'm gonna answer the question, hey Manny, what are you actually using to make your videos? Can you do some kind of camera gear episode someday? And that's what I'm gonna do today. We're gonna take a look especially at one epic device that I used to shoot the majority of the videos on the channel so far, at least. But first, I think it's kind of appropriate to take a little bit of a dive into the history of the channel to see what I used back then, because as some of you guys might know or not know, I did not always use the same camera to make videos for this channel. So let's take a look at what I used for my very first video. And this is this guy here, the Samsung HMX H200 Full HD camcorder. With this beautiful opening sound. This is true nostalgia here. So as you can see, it's a pretty basic device. I'm gonna give you a little bit of a taste here of the recording capabilities of this thing. Pretty damn crappy audio, but full HD video, and you know, the flippy screen here to be able to see what you're filming, which was pretty important for me and still is pretty important for me for making videos. It's got everything that I basically needed back then. The major flaw with this thing was that you cannot customize any of the settings. You cannot adjust the ISO, you cannot adjust the shutter speed, the aperture and all that good stuff, you know. So for me as a person who wants to, you know, when I start something, I want to get good at it, I want to get better at it, when I started making these videos, I wanted to become a good filmmaker, basically. So I wanted to know about these things. I wanted to know what a different effect has, a higher shutter speed or a lower shutter speed, or a tighter aperture or a wider aperture, you know. All these things have different effects on the image, basically, and so I wanted to learn about that. So what I did, I upgraded this little Samsung camcorder here after my first 80 videos. So I shot 80 videos, the first 80 videos basically up to this video here. I'm gonna try to link it basically. Until then, I shot with this camcorder, and then I switched to this guy here. I hope you can see it here. Oh, the battery is already flashing on this guy. But this is the thing that's gonna be in the focus of this gear review episode. This is the Sony Cybershot RX100 Mark III. And this, I can tell you this much, guys, this is an awesome camera. This is actually such an awesome device that I shot the next 180 videos of the channel with this guy. So basically, up until video number 260, I used this guy here and my little camcorder down here. Then I upgraded again to this guy here. So let's see if we can get this one here in focus. Oh yeah, there it is. Look at this beautiful record setting here. This is the Panasonic GH5, and that's what I'm currently using as a main camera for making videos for this channel. So now, as we're talking here about these three devices, that's all I used basically so far. Not only are we making a little bit of an kind of going up in the spectrum when it comes to quality of the image, but we're also quite a lot going up when it comes to price. Now, when we're talking about this Samsung camcorder here, this little guy, we're talking about 120 euros. So yeah, that's kind of affordable when it comes to filmmaking gear. You know, this could be your step into something like YouTube. It's already got full HD, which is way better than most of the things that the people had back then, you know. And when we grade up to this guy here, the Sony Cybershot RX100 Mark III, this is already 600 euros. So it was at least 600 euros back in the day when I bought this thing. But this is still quite a lot cheaper than this guy here, which is the recording setup that you can see here with the Rode Video Mic Go, The camera, the glass, the memory card that's inside there, that's about 2,300 euros. So as you might have realized now, until now, I should have at least shown you a couple of comparative shots where I, side by side shots of the same thing with different cameras, so that you can see how the unedited footage differs basically in quality. When we're taking quite a leap in picture quality at the very low end of the spectrum, we can afford that for a relatively affordable price. When we want to take the picture quality from 95% to 99%, we're gonna take a huge leap in price from 600 to 2,300 euros basically. And that goes for everything, I think, when it comes to the spectrum of different products. At the very low end of the spectrum, you will get a lot of quality increase for a little bit of a price increase. Whereas at the high end of the spectrum, you only get a little bit more quality for a lot more price. And the moral of the story is that I think this guy here, the Sony Cybershot RX100 M3, just sits in the sweet spot of the things. It's relatively affordable, but it has still all the awesome features that any upcoming filmmaker would like to have. Basically, you can adjust all the values, so you can properly train with that, train for something bigger that you might afford in the future. And yeah, it's just an awesome thing to play around with, I tell you this much. So now I'm gonna go a little bit into more detail what this thing actually has to offer. The first thing that jumps to the head is that this is small, and it is really small. As you can see, I can hold this here comfortably in one hand. It's pretty thin. You can easily put this into the pocket of your pants. It's even smaller than the Samsung camcorder that I showed you before. And this comes with another advantage, and that is that this one is actually quite lightweight. These are we are talking about 290 grams, I believe here. This comes, of course, with the advantage that it's super portable. This is a super portable device that you can you can put it in your backpack super easily. You can put it in your pocket, as I said, and bring it to any of your outdoor adventures. Bring it to the crag, wherever you need it. I did this countless times. Filmed my ascents with this stuff, This is very functional and portable stuff, so I got definitely a big thumbs up in this regard. Now it comes with a disadvantage though, and that is that it makes kind of a fragile impression, of course, because it's not very, the metal is not very thick. The outer shell of the box, so to say, is not very thick and not very sturdy. But I can say this much: I ran hundreds of hours of 50 frames a second full HD through this thing, and the recording capabilities are still going strong after I bashed the shit out of it, man. I dropped this to the floor countless times, ran it against the wall. This thing got wet. This got completely soaked. Wouldn't turn on for like 2 weeks. I thought already I ruined it, and after 2 weeks, bam, it turned on again. Out of the nothing, it came back to life. Without any repairing measures or any stuff like that, That was back in Magic Wood, I believe, when it was super wet during one night and it got soaked. So I'm quite impressed with the sturdiness of the camera. It doesn't give the impression that it's very sturdy, but it actually is. So I'm not gonna lie to you, I also destroyed a couple of features, amongst which are the electronic viewfinder that you see on top here and the flash. Both of which are not able to pop out anymore, which they usually do when you press the right buttons here. But as you can see, I'm trying to show you here some close-up shots as well. I deformed the top metal of the box here, of the frame of the camera, in such a way that they don't pop out anymore. As I said, I bashed the shit out of this camera and it's not possible anymore, simply. I think I could repair that quite easily by bending a little bit of stuff around up there, but I don't do that because I simply don't need these things. I don't need a flash because I don't take a lot of stills with this camera. And I don't need the electronic viewfinder, which you're mostly gonna need for photos as well. And I do a lot of video work, as you know, actually almost only video work, and that's why I don't really care about these features. However, I do care about one thing that I destroyed as well, and that is the internal audio of this camera. As you can see, on top of that, we've got 2 internal mics here, which are actually quite good when it comes to quality. Surprisingly good, a lot better than the Samsung camcorder that I had before. if I only have this camera available and I need to take audio, I bring my external audio gear, which is my external mic here and my audio recorder. But with this new camera here, anyway, the problem is solved because this one has the capability to plug in external mics anyway, which you don't have, unfortunately, on this camera, so that's a bit of a drawback there. Long story short, I don't have any audio on this guy anymore, which means that I can only use it for stills, for pre-roll, and for second angle stuff, you know, which is awesome because I love to bring this stuff when I want to shoot something from a second angle, or just make a little bit of quick of a pre-roll shot, you know. This is also so easy because it's so lightweight, you can simply pull it out of your backpack, make the shot, and get it back in easily. We've got a flippy screen, which is awesome because then you can actually see what you're filming. We've got an awesome lens here actually. This is awesome glass. I think I gotta read from my notes here. It's 24 to 70 millimeter lens with 3x zoom and f-stop 1.8 to 2.8 zoom lens basically here. So all these numbers, man, I wish I could tell you exactly what they mean, but what I know is that the angle of view, the wideness of the frame is a lot better than when it comes to the camcorder. The camcorder had a super tight frame, and I'm gonna show you this in some side-by-side comparisons. This actually has a wide angle feel to it, you know, almost like if you would have a wide angle lens on kind of a DSLR or something like that. And that's of course awesome when you just want to put the camera down, like let's say you have a boulder or something, you just want to put the camera down, you want to get the whole boulder into the frame, then you can be sure basically to make it with this lens. You know, it has only 3 times of a zoom, which is plenty enough. I didn't encounter one situation where I wished to have more zoom. 20x of the camcorder is definitely not necessary and is super overkill. We've got a pretty neat customizable focus ring out here, which you can set in the menu to adjust the ISO, the shutter speed, the aperture, the focus of course. And in this guy here we have a 20 megapixel 1-inch diagonal, I believe, CMOS sensor. And this is actually a huge sensor for a small camera like this, for a small point and shoot like this. The sensor in this guy is bigger than the sensor in this guy in the GH5. Now what the effect that this has is that there is not as many pixels on a tight room. You know, the pixel density of the sensor is quite low, which means that each individual pixel is able to pick up a lot of light, which in turn makes this device really good in low light. I was actually quite surprised in some low light situations. This is definitely a better low light camera than this guy here, than the GH5, which as I said has a smaller sensor and therefore lower low light capabilities if you want to have so. So yeah, this guy definitely good in low light. I think this is a bit of a strength when it comes to Sony. All the Sonys, they seem to be quite good in low light. We also have optical image stabilization in this guy, which is awesome. I love that because I hate running around with unnecessary gear, and if I wouldn't have that, also on the GH5 by the way, that's an awesome feature. I don't want to run around with an extra gimbal and stuff like that, which you have to charge, and it's also quite heavy, you know, you have to carry this stuff around. All not necessary. If you want to do some handheld shots with this thing, simply turn on the optical image stabilization. I think it doesn't cost you a lot of frame width, or I think it crops a little bit into the frame, but not much after my experience. So definitely an awesome tool to have as well. When it comes to image quality, this guy here is pretty impressive. Good colors, good contrast, good sharpness, and I was a super noob back then, but when I compared it to the Samsung camcorder, I could instantly see the difference. So I was pretty impressed that such a small device, which was up to par back then, you know, it was the newest model available. In the meantime, there are of course even newer models available of this guy, but yeah, I don't think they are so necessary. But anyway, the difference between the Samsung and the Sony was quite outstanding, was pretty impressive. And also the video functions that this guy has, you can, depending on where you buy it, I bought it in Europe, so I've got the 50p frequency, the 50p system frequency, which means that I get 25 frames per second in full HD, 50 frames per second in full HD, and even 100 frames a second in 720p. So when you buy this in the US, I believe you get 30, 60, and 100, even 120 frames a second. So yeah, quite impressive when it comes to frame rate and therefore slow motion shooting, which is super nice when you are a sports dude, when you're making a lot of sports photography, sports video shooting and stuff like that. But most importantly, and that's why I got this thing back then, you can adjust everything. You can adjust ISO, you can adjust shutter speed, aperture, you can focus manually, of course, you can experiment with time lapses, you can take awesome stills, you can do everything that a very good modern DSLR does as well. But for mostly a smaller price, and it's also great, you know, for training. When you like to upgrade in the future, when you already know that you would like to upgrade in the future to a bigger DSLR, use this for training. That's at least how I did it. I thought, okay, this is small and portable. I can bring this anywhere. I can, you know, practice with it anywhere, learn what these numbers mean, what effect these numbers have on the image quality. And then once I get a bigger device like this one here, I would already know what they mean and what effect they have. So that's basically what I did. I know a lot of people, they jump into the big devices instantly, spend a ton of money for them, and then only run them in auto mode because they don't really know what effect these numbers have on the image quality, you know. So that's at least how I like to do it. I like to start off with simple devices that are easy to handle, to practice the stuff, and once I get better, upgrade basically to a more expensive and bigger device. So anyway, to not let this get too long here, let's wrap this up here real quickly. The Sony Cybershot RX100 Mark III. Major advantages. We've got the flip out screen. You always see what you're filming basically, also when you're filming yourself. We've got everything is customizable. Shutter speed, I already said it, okay? Everything is customizable. We've got 50 frames a second or respectively 60 frames a second even in full HD in 1080p, which is quite amazing actually, also for slow-mo shots and stuff like that. And if you want to get even more nerdy about the slow-mo, you've got also even 100 respectively 120 frames a second in 720p. It's super light, is very easily portable, is very robust, even though it doesn't make the impression. It's very lightweight, very small. You can easily fit this in all your pockets, and these are the major advantages of this thing. This is why I got this guy basically, and I'm not disappointed. It's well worth the bucks, I would say. And that's the thing that I shot 160 videos of this channel with, and from I think video number 260 on, I shoot with this guy here, and I'm gonna make a review of this guy in the future as well, hopefully. Anyway, if you want to check this out, of course, as always, you would find a link in the description down below, with all my gear review episodes, basically. I hope I didn't ramble too much. Please let me know down below in the comment section if you found this video somehow helpful for you. Maybe you're looking for a camera as well to shoot your sports stuff, to film your boulders, or whatever you would like to do. I hope it was insightful, a little bit of the story that I had with my cameras on this channel. And yeah, looking forward to review this guy here, which is awesome. Thanks to the Patreon tribe, by the way, who helped me greatly to purchase this thing. Yeah, I think that's about all I have for today, guys. I hope you're having a great weekend. I surely do. Let's see if we can attack something tomorrow. I'm already psyched and hopefully awesomely regenerated. Anyway, guys, hope you're having a great one. Stay strong, keep crushing, and I'll see you soon. Bye.